if a student over there is crossing the street and they drop their backpack and come back and the car is speeding down the street and you jump in front of the car in order to push that student who you look nothing alike, you did not come from the same nation, and you do not have the same socioeconomic background, and you push that student out of the way and get run over by that car, from an evolutionary perspective, you sacrificing your life for that kind of person makes no sense.
I just want to contextualize this by saying I care more for you as a person than I do for any theological differences. That being said, I have a question. You said that in evolution, it is only kill or be killed. Why then is altruism such a successful evolutionary trait?
Yeah.
And the second part of that question is, by what absolute moral metric is a world in which unconditional love is provided freely, by what metric is that a better world than a world where strife and struggle are common? Because it seems innate to the human mind that we are far more developed to contextualize, understand, and remember negative emotions and respond to negative feedback than positive. It seems inherent that we're designed to cope and cooperate around the struggles we go through than through the positives we experience. Why then is it inherently better to have a world where there's some omniscient being that loves us than to have a stark, cold world that just is and that just is experienced? That seems far more richer and fuller to me than to have love subjected upon me by some being who refuses to interact with me.
So do you live your life as if life is just blind, pitiless indifference, where you're just going to the dark pit, you're just a bag of chemicals, you don't ultimately have any value or significance? So if there is no God, you're going to have to live that out, and I love that you're basically saying that. So live it out. That's a pretty depressed existence.
That wasn't what I said. I think altruism is a far...
No, I'm taking your second question.
Okay.
We got to go. You're very sharp.
Sure.
We got to go one at a time here.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'm going after your second point, though. Your first one, it still doesn't line up, man. Yes, there is reciprocal altruism in evolution. Couldn't agree more. But that is all about your tribe. You living for human rights and joining a nonprofit to help those who are completely different than you over in Myanmar or Saudi Arabia, how does that line up with an evolutionary desire? Because I would say it's ultimately selfish, because you're not sticking with your own tribe.
We can understand we were evolved we can only index about 150 people. And beyond that, we lose significance and it becomes statistics. So we can only have altruism for small group tribal effect. But we can extrapolate that what works in this situation must work on a worldwide scale. That's just an example of intelligence. That's not a refutation of altruism as a trait.
No, but it's all about your own tribe. You're
But
selfish.
I'm saying
You're
that
selfish
my
to
trait
leave
is
your
the
own
one.
tribe to help other people, because that's not helping your own tribe, because they're competing tribes. And so by you leaving your tribe to help
just
those who
said-
are far away, I mean, any evolutionary psychologist that I've read says that. I don't know where you're getting yours.
Because we can extrapolate the survival of our in an unintelligent mind, the species is only the tribe. But intelligent mind... Sorry.
No, he just wants me to project louder.
Sorry.
Back here.
The intelligent mind can extrapolate that the survival of the species
Yep.
is for more than just the singular tribe. It's for all of the tribes of that same species across the planet. And I'm not saying that's inherently good, because it has caused such horrible situations in our climate and horrible situations in our economies and horrible situations in our government. But that doesn't seem like a refutation of the inherent good of altruism. And it doesn't seem like the statement that altruism is inherently selfishness, because that is the giving of the self for others. It's just an extrapolation of the base trait that is unintelligent to an intelligent worldview, a world frame that is modified by intelligent viewpoints.
I hear you talking about the evolution of tribes. Okay, well then why are Republicans and Democrats so at each other's throats? I'm pretty sure we see some serious tribalism going on in this day and age.
Well, you can...
It's always there and always will be there until Christ returns to fully redeem this place.
There is often far more similarity across divides than within specific right or left denominations of politics. The larger political landscape is just the extrapolation of smaller political tribes unifying across boundaries. So let's say Guy B is in tribe with Guy A and Guy C. Guy A and Guy C might not have very much in common, but by the unifying factor of Guy B, they appear to be a larger group. So saying that Democrats and Republicans are tribes is ignoring what you said about small-scale tribalism.
No. Large-scale tribalism and loving and sacrificing for your enemy does not line up with your evolutionary theory. It has nothing, it doesn't even touch it, doesn't even come close. That's why the Christian ethic of love and even being willing to die for your enemy has shaped, with Judeo-Christian values, this very nation. That's why people are giving up their very lives at times, but usually it's their own livelihood, to actually go and help those who are sex trafficked, who look nothing like them, who don't have their money, who don't share the same ethnicity, and they're willing to do this to ultimately advantage them and disadvantage themselves. So from an evolutionary perspective, that does not stack up.
I want to say this.
Yes.
A very large portion of the good in our modern society comes from religious beliefs. And that you're true
Yes.
in some manners. A lot of what our modern world is cannot be directly ascribed to evolution. But I think that's a large part of the factor of intelligence on evolutionary systems. Like you can see in the modern ecosystem, evolution is broken down because of the effects of intelligence. Like human intelligence is just on a different scale than evolution. It affects people and systems in a way that evolution cannot handle for, because evolution is built on long time scale randomness.
Yep.
And intelligence is so much better at manipulating short scale that it just outweighs long scale evolution on every metric.
Right.
But that's not an ascription or a refutation for the existence of evolution as an effect. And it's not also not a statement that altruism can't create the world we live in. Altruism is very capable of creating the love between people that we see. You just use intelligence to extrapolate the love for the one you see. Like right now, I love you more than people who are very much more like me across the world. Like I have very much.
But what if I hate you? Why would you love me? If I want to come after you and dominate you like evolution clearly claims, the strong eating the weak, destroying, that's what Nietzsche said. That's why Nietzsche said, oh, you Christians, let's get rid of that type of slave morality. It's all about the powerful eating the weak. And that's why Hitler, that's why Hitler said, I'm going to adopt Nietzsche's ultimate philosophy for life, and I'm going to take the Jews, they're very different from our Aryan race, and I'm going to wipe them out. That's based off of your evolutionary theory. He was consistent. I think you're being terribly inconsistent. Sorry, not to offend you. I think there's some truth in what you're saying, but that is very inconsistent, my friend. And so you have to start to understand, why do I truly love others? I can get to the point of understanding, yes, be kind to others, especially your own tribe, and protect them. But you can be kind within your worldview. Sure, absolutely. You scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. That aligns with evolution. But if a student over there is crossing the street and they drop their backpack and come back and the car is speeding down the street and you jump in front of the car in order to push that student who you look nothing alike, you did not come from the same nation, and you do not have the same socioeconomic background, and you push that student out of the way and get run over by that car, from an evolutionary perspective, you sacrificing your life for that kind of person makes no sense. That's why the Christian faith changed the world. It turned it upside down because the Roman Empire was very consistent in their philosophy. Actually, they were before their time when it came to evolutionary theory. It was in line with that. And so they always said, oh, it's the powerful. You Christians, this dying savior, gross. You love your enemies. That was foreign to every single civilization. It was always about focus on your own tribe and dominate, dominate, dominate. Evolution is the same kind of thing. Do you have certainly within it forms of reciprocal altruism? Absolutely, we agree. But for you to just hop into, I love you, man. I love you. Where do you get that from evolution? How do you get that from evolution? Evolution does, just my last point, and then you go. Evolution does not connect, it cannot explain at all, Richard Dawkins himself, has said this many a times, as well as Nietzsche, as well as all the great existentialists, so you're disagreeing with all of your top prophets, cannot touch meaning and purpose, the information and knowledge that we're sharing together, love, free will, all of the biggest questions in life, evolution cannot even come close to getting at. That's one of the reasons why I believe in God, because there's so much immaterial things that you and I share, more so than even focusing on the material things. And so from an evolutionary standpoint, there are endless amounts of holes.
Your first point
Yes.
was that if you were robbing me,
Yes.
how could I express love for you? If you were robbing me, I wouldn't express love for you. I would shut down, my emotions would turn off, and I'd run away.
Okay.
When someone's aggressive or angry towards you, you stop feeling love towards them because they're providing you with a negative experience.
Okay.
Human civilization, many of its biggest faults come from this, but human civilization, at its basis, is built out of building positive experiences for each other so that as a whole, our efforts can combine to a greater positive experience. Just the statement that some people create negative experiences for others does not refute the point that as a society, creating positive experiences for each other can build to a greater whole because our efforts can compound and make the world better for our children who can make it better for their children.
Agreed.
So it is not a refutation of evolution to say, oh, some people are being nice to people who aren't like them. Or to say, oh, some people are being mean to other people. That's not a refutation.
Prove to me human rights from a scientific standpoint.
So human rights aren't scientific.
It's
Science
immaterial.
doesn't tell you what you
It's
should
immaterial.
do.
So how, from a scientific basis, do you get the immaterial human rights or this love that you're talking about? It's immaterial.
It's built out of the history of human civilization.
Can't prove love and why I should live for love.
Because it creates positive experiences.
Sure, yeah, agreed.
That's material.
But you can't get a pound of love, my friend. It's
I didn't
still
say you
material.
could. That's
No, but you're pushing evolutionary theory and science, and I'm just talking about, I agree. And I'm just saying if there is no God, you have a lot of splaining to do. As in, like, a lot.
So you said without God,
Yes,
you can't explain love.
love is immaterial. Consciousness, immaterial.
So conscious.
You and I, information, you can't see the information you and I are sharing right now. It's immaterial. You just have to say, like Richard Dawkins says, oh, I hate the idea of free will. I'm a determinist because we live by our neurochemicals because there is no God. I hate this idea of free will, but I realize I have to pretend, he says, like it exists because I believe I have the capacity to decide whether to go to the loo in there and whether to go get a sandwich in about a half hour from now. I do not believe my neurochemicals are determining me to do that. So what does he say? Free will is an illusion that is not connected to evolution, but it's simply a byproduct. That's an illusion. It was an accident that came from evolution that we live by, but that we really don't have. And so this is my whole point to you. Free will, love, all these great concepts that make sense of life that we live by, it breaks in on you. And you start to say, if I'm just an evolutionist, if I'm an atheist, I've got a lot of beliefs that don't jive with experience.
A lot of the reason that love, experience, and knowledge can't be explained by evolution is because there's also a sociological buildup of traits called knowledge acquisition that is not evolutionary, but operates on evolutionary principles, and it is material. It is in the hyperstructure of your brain. Evolution can be explained as a survival mechanism wherein your brain decides what to do by habit, and then it uses a justification because it's a shortcut for negative and positive affecture towards experience memory. So experience, consciousness, the idea of the self, is a way of tagging experiences as positive or negative, as saying they happen to me instead of saying they happen.
Yep.
So consciousness,
Yep.
love,
Yep.
the reason for societal togetherness can be explained as knowledge acquisition
Yep.
across generations
Yep.
in complex civilizations.
Yep.
Just as religion
Yep.
can often, so I don't want to attack your religion,
No, you can. You're not attacking it. You
No.
disagree with it.
Okay.
That's not an attack. I don't buy into the politically correct culture of you disagree with me and that's an attack on my very soul.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say Christianity. So Christianity, or I'm going, just because of the crowd, can I use a different religion?
Sure, go ahead, man.
Okay, so take Mormonism.
Okay.
It started as one person saying a set of rules and beliefs are a better way of operating.
Yes.
And then in the same way that consciousness pretends it has made a decision so as to get you to catalog it as a positive or a negative experience. Someone who creates a set of rules or actions for how to operate in a society creates a god or a set of justifications.
I agree with all that.
Okay.
But just back it up a little bit.
Sure.
You didn't say anything I disagree with.
Okay.
But here's what I would add that you'll disagree with is consciousness, rationality, free will, truth, ethics, all of these are immaterial that started before the experiential. You didn't just learn how to love. You didn't just learn your free will. You didn't just learn your consciousness. You didn't just pick up all these things through experience. I'm sorry, but that is a joke.
They are.
That is a complete joke.
They can be found in the hyperstructure of the
Yes.
neurotic architecture.
No, they cannot. Consciousness cannot be. I love the last atheist who told me, yes, consciousness, it is physical. I realize I have to be consistent with my worldview, so I have to find a physical understanding of consciousness. So now what we can do is we can hook your brains up to different scans, and you can have a dream state, and your exact dreams about your mother making you a certain meal or a certain potential car accident you get in, we can actually write down every single word and every single action that occurred in your memory. And that's how we explain consciousness. Okay, that's a joke, but I love that he's being consistent at least.
How is that a joke?
How is that a joke? Because we have not come even close to doing that scientifically. For you to materially write down every single dream I have with every single little detail, that has not been done. And what atheists love to do is they love to make these tremendous leaps in the dark to say, I realize I can't explain consciousness. I can't explain things like memories. So we're going to find ways to somehow fabricate and push our type of worldview in a way where we're going to explain them. It's kind of like scientists right now who are atheists. They say, you know what? Yeah, we can create a cell. We can create a cell. No, you cannot. You have tried for 50 years now in a lab to create a cell. You cannot create a cell. You've come close to splitting a cell, but you cannot create a cell. It has not happened. It will never happen. You need a creator outside of a human being to create something like a cell. You did not come from primordial soup. There is no evidence for that. You can convince me of that, hopefully, if you want me to be an atheist, because you're really proselytizing a lot right now.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to try and convince you. I just enjoy the discussion.
Well, wait. I enjoy the discussion too, but if you have the truth...
I don't think I have the truth. I just have my...
You're arguing pretty eloquently right now for your position. I think you believe that you have some type of truth.
No.
No?
I don't believe that the human brain, the way the mind works, is it hallucinates a giant swath of the material, and it only picks up, like, lingually, we're talking about ideas, but we're not, like, explaining the connotations of every word we use. So you're filling in a lot of the meaning of what I say, and I'm just like if you think about it, there's a lot more information in what I'm saying than just the words I'm saying, right?
Right.
And there's a lot more information in what you're giving me that I'm filling in by myself.
Yep.
From my own memories and from my own knowledge. A lot of that fabricated knowledge is just fabricated. A lot of it's hallucination that's just trained for what will work in the situation.
So we're all hallucinating right now in different ways?
Oh, yeah. Most of the human experience.
All right, everybody's hallucinating right now. You don't really know if we're here, and you're hearing voices. That's a hallucination.
Yeah. Yep.
So everybody's hallucinating and delusional right now.
Yes.
I don't understand why is not everybody on something like lithium or a pill to help your delusions and hallucinations?
Because
Shouldn't we all be on a pill?
It's normalized.
We should all be on a pill to help our hallucinations and delusions.
Because pills
we will
are
be
for
perfect human
abnormal
beings. We'll be perfect minds. This is the whole thing with AI, artificial intelligence. Let's just better ourselves. And that's a typical type of brainwashing here on this campus, which is better yourself. That's the whole point of humanity. And take a pill, then your hallucinations and delusions will be solved so we can actually have a healthy conversation that makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Because what you're saying is we are filling in, misinterpreting, and there's so much more than we don't even realize when it comes to this conversation. Okay, fine. Take a pill, access a broader percentage of your brain, then we can have healthier communication.
So if you look at one leaf on a tree and you try and figure out all of the indents and maps and contours of that leaf,
Yep.
you can know the whole rest of that tree is there without looking at it.
Okay.
Your brain is filling in the knowledge without knowing it's there. Like, I know there's a tree over there because I experienced it earlier, but I'm not seeing it right now. So my brain is filling in the knowledge from memory, and it's like, I don't remember every part of the tree. I don't even remember what color the tree is. But I remember the tree is there, and I can fill it in with the generic property of a tree.
Okay, you're remembering, so that's immaterial.
No,
So
it's
as a materialist, your memory of that tree, how did you get that memory of the tree? How do you have that memory right now if you're a materialist?
I retrieved it by the firing of electrons through my neural architecture.
Yeah, that's part of it, but it's still immaterial. The memory is still immaterial.
No, it's material.
So it's part of it in the sense of, yes, see, this is love as well. You're onto it, man.
Okay.
Part of love is oxytocin, dopamine, the cuddle chemical. Yes, part of love. But are you going to go home, say you have a girlfriend or a mom, you go home and you just say, and maybe future wife, hey, honey, you know what? I found out what love is today because I'm an atheist. You know what love is? It's just my dopamine. It's just my neurochemicals that are telling me I love you at this point. But tomorrow they could be telling me something different. So I could commit adultery. I could cheat on you because love is just made up in the brain. And we know, based off of things like hallucinations, that your mind, that your brain, that your desires, it's all physical, it's all neurochemicals, can change at any point. And so why don't I go sleep around with as many women as possible, especially from an evolutionary standpoint, back to your point, because we're not made to be monogamous individuals. No, as a white male with a ton of testosterone, I desire to sleep around with as many women as possible. That's why open marriage right now is so seductive in our culture. No. Jesus Christ came and said, the reason why we have monogamy is to have a covenantal relationship, because God designed us for it. Secondly, in the Roman Empire, it was to protect women. The typical Roman male had complete authority over every single hole and orifice on a human woman. Yes, go ahead.
You didn't let me finish what I was saying. In remembering the tree is there,
yeah,
I'm creating a connection. So the tree will still be there when I turn around.
Yeah.
And so I'm creating an internal validation loop,
right,
for the existence of the tree.
Right.
In the same way, love is the knowledge that even though I don't love my wife or my girlfriend right now, I'm creating a long-term stability wherein I will experience positivity again in the future. And even better, I can give positivity to someone else.
Good.
So
until they offend you, until they do something. No, that was your earlier point. Come on, be consistent. That was your earlier point. I said when I was going to steal from you, I'm going to turn away from you. And this is exactly why the divorce rate, this is why the divorce rate is skyrocketing through 54% because of individualistic secularism that you are promoting beautifully. But you must be consistent with it because this idea of commitment is immaterial. And I am not a monogamous individual, especially from the evolutionary cycle. So why, especially if love in these kinds of things, if you bring about a negative emotion, where that you're being consistent, by the way, feelings based off of evolution, which I like, thank you for your consistency there. But if it's a negative emotion that's created from my interaction with her, and if we have been married for 10 years, well then ultimately, sorry, I'm living for happiness, my own personal happiness, so I can dump you anytime I want.
Love?
Yes.
Is the knowledge that even though in the moment it might be bad,
right?
Through effort, I can make the world better.
Yeah.
And what I experience as a positive emotion, I can create for my future self and for my children who will be my genetic and special offspring, and for other people and for their children who will be their offspring, and if it be my sister and her children, for my genetic lineage. But that aside, you're twisting my words saying that if you're trying to rob me, I'm going to run away. You said you had a knife.
I didn't say I did not say I had a knife. I could just mug you with my fist, though. Well, I don't know why the knife matters, but go ahead, keep going. Okay, I did not say that, but keep going.
I didn't mean to put words in your mouth. Negative experiences can be, to some amount, contextualized by past experiences, and you can know what will hurt you too much or not.
Yep.
And if you know someone has created someone in your life who you love and you have a continued relationship with, has a pattern of hurting you too much,
right,
for you to be able to stand it and go on,
right.
And yes, the good thing is to move away.
Fully agree.
But the knowledgeable thing to do is to understand when things are recoverable and when things can be made positive through effort.
Right.
And that is, again, an immaterial thing. You have to assume through the abstraction out of the trend lines of past experiences.
Right.
You can't just know that. It can't be an inherent written law.
But you said it's immaterial. How, as a materialist?
I didn't say it was immaterial.
No, did he just say this is immaterial? You just said this is immaterial.
I didn't.
Well, I must be hallucinating then. You said I was
I
hallucinating earlier, so maybe I'm hallucinating now.
You
just said it's immaterial, and then you learned by your experience. You're saying it's both. I understand.
Can I also refute something you said earlier?
Sure, if I can refute something you said earlier.
Sure.
Okay.
You go first.
No, please.
Okay. You said that if something is immaterial,
Yep.
then it must be something outside this world.
Must be something immaterial that created. Yes.
Okay.
The material.
So
You need something beyond. You need something immaterial to ultimately create the material. The world beginning, it had a beginning. Right? So if it has a beginning, if a physical has a beginning, you need the immaterial, the non-physical, to have created it. So this universe didn't physically go on forever. We used to think that.
My question is,
But then science proved it wrong.
what is immaterial? What is there that is non-existent?
What is immaterial?
There that is not material?
The immaterial is if I go in here yet again to buy a sandwich, and I pick up a menu, and I physically grab that piece of paper and it has ink blots on it. The immaterial is I look and make sense of those ink blocks, and they have meaning, which is steak sandwich with Frank's hot sauce, which is my favorite meal. And I communicate it to the sweet lady or man at the register, and I say, I would like, please, this steak sandwich with Frank's hot sauce. Well, I got it from the material, the physical, which is the ink blots and the actual physical piece of paper. Well, now the immaterial occurs, and we have something called a rational mind. Also immaterial, does not make sense from a materialist perspective. I use my rational mind to communicate with this person at the cash register who also has a rational mind, and we transfer the immaterial information, and Stuart, fortunately, hopefully, gets his steak sandwich with the Frank's hot sauce on it. That's immaterial. Where does that come from, the materialistic point of view?
So you're talking
It
about
does not. There's a great hole here, a chasm that you have to bridge that I've never heard an atheist bridge before.
So you're talking about the interpretation of physical iconography as mental meaning, as intelligent significance. All of that process is done in the neural architecture. It's done
Physical, yes, in the
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah.
But then
So what's immaterial?
But then the immaterial is the knowledge gained and passed on to the other person.
That's true.
All right, guys, I'm going to interrupt.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You got 1 minute. You got 1 minute. Summarize succinctly. All
We got
right?
the referee here.
Both
Come on,
of you.
let's
Let's go. What's your main
Summarize-
point? What are you trying to communicate out here?
My main point is that I love discussion. In this specific conversation, my main point is that I think that often things can be explained. Although we might not know the answer yet, we can find a way to explain it. And if we cannot explain it, that does not automatically mean we must jump to an assumption of some creation. Not to say that it might not be created, but that to jump to a creationist explanation is to ignore the fact that it might be unexplainable or there might be an explanation we don't know yet.
And that's why we live by faith from evidence. I've heard from you a type of hyper-skepticism, and I would encourage you to be skeptical about your hyper-skepticism. Don't just be this free thinker. Be one who thinks freely, but based off the evidence, what leads you to the truth. And I'm trying to communicate, was a very high-level philosophical discussion, but I'm trying to communicate that there's more evidence for God, who is immaterial, based off of all the immaterial experience that we share, love, consciousness, truth, knowledge, free will, that the immaterial God must have created that, because you cannot get it from the world, the earth, the actual planet, creating it. But ultimately, it's all about Jesus Christ, man, because you talked about love. And in world history, we get the ethic of love and actually serving for those who are not like us and loving our enemies from Jesus Christ. That doesn't mean he's the Son of God, but it's a pretty beautiful thing where you want to check out Jesus based off of a lot of the evidence for how he loved, why he loved, and whether he truly was the Son of God. And he loves
you a
you.
hug?
He loves you more than you can ever imagine, man.
Here you go, guys. All right.
Thank you, brother. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this episode. Hit that subscribe button. We love for you to join the family. Also, want to invite you to our church in New Canaan, Connecticut. It's New Canaan High School, and it meets Sundays at 9:30 a.m.